Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Hopefully, you're having a great week, and I know I'm having a pretty good week, I guess. I'm a little bummed. I didn't get to play. I didn't play any golf last week, and part of it's my fault. Part of it's the weather's fault. So I'm gonna, take half the blame. But I didn't get out and play, which is a little bummer because I had some stuff that I really wanted to hit. But that happens. So we'll get into that a little bit. And then, but before we get going, I just wanted to let you know this episode brought to you by Titleist SM8 Voki Wedges. So the Voki Wedges are kind of a staple in the wedge world. You guys know I've been playing the Vokis for a while now, and the SM8 is a huge leap for Titleist. They basically have a center of gravity that's in front of the face. So it's, out in front of the center of the face. They do that by using like a tungsten plug and some other weighting. Again, I'm not an engineer, so that's kind of what I know. But what it does is help you square the face up. And with the short game, if the face isn't square to the target, you're not getting the ball anywhere close. It's going to get really hard to get up and down. So, new advancement there. SM8s feel great. They have really controllable, high amount of spin. It's really controllable, predictable out of pretty much any lie. And they offer a bunch of soul grinds to fit any swing, any condition, any type of shot, whatever you're looking for. So myself, I play the 46, 50, 56, 60, and I've got, the D grind in a few, and then some high bounce F grind in my 50. So, but if you want to check out more, check out Titleist.com. They have a wedge selector tool, the Voki WRX program. So ton of options when it comes to Voki wedges. And like I said, just a great wedge overall. So take a look, Titleist.com, and I'm still playing mine, still playing my raws, which I've been a huge fan of. They're patinaed up pretty nice. It's funny though, like the 46, my pitching wedge, which is bent to 45, doesn't quite have the same patina as the other ones, which is interesting because I mean it's been in the bag the same amount of time and all that. I don't know, but whatever. It's still there. It's still a little rusty, and you guys know I'm a big fan of rusty wedges. So, I didn't get out and play this weekend. I was a little bummed. Like I said, part of it was my fault. Part of it wasn't. It was just one of those things where I didn't. I just part of it was weather. It was really cold on Sunday, and I think it was rainy on Friday or Thursday night into Friday. It was pretty rainy up here. And it was just things like that kind of got in the way. And then I also went down and we took the little one and we went down to my parents' place down on the lake. And for that, we kind of helped get things open and clean some stuff up and just hang out. So it was one of those things where I just didn't golf. And, I probably could have snuck in at least a little range time or, 9 holes. And I just, I didn't do it. I was just kind of there to help out and relax. So one of those things where I just didn't get it done. So for you guys, I apologize. But no, I've got a few things to talk about today. It might be a little shorter episode because I've got a bunch of stuff to hit. Like I said, I just didn't hit anything. But I got a couple wedges, one of which I can't talk about yet. The other one is the Cobra snake bite, which I'm really excited. It looks really good. From the photos, when I saw them on GolfWRX.com, when the photos came up, looked at them, and I was kind of like, not for me. It's got the full grooves, from heel to toe, and but overall, like the shape when I actually got it in my hand, set it down, it looks really good. So excited to hit that, give it a try. I got another wedge, can't talk about till probably about a week, something like that. So I got another wedge, can't talk about for about a week, and then I've got some of the. I went to the office the other day, so I've got I got the Epic Speed or the Epic Max LS head, got the Ping Max head, and then the Sim 2 Max 3 wood. So those things will be going in the bag to test out. Hopefully my league will be starting up here in like 2 weeks. I should find out tomorrow. So I'm pretty excited for that. Thursday night men's league. I mean, I'm no club pro guy. So I mean, I know that my Thursday night league isn't quite at that elite level that his is. But, I try my best to report back on what's going on in my league. So I don't own a Miata. I probably never will. I don't make that kind of cash like him. And, but I do love his press conferences. So, but anyway, so the first, we'll jump into a couple things. Like I said, I only really have like 2 for right now. And then, we'll see where it goes from there. But the first thing we'll talk about is actually a wedge. Oh, I destroy my cup there, but yeah, so it's a wedge here that I've actually had for a little while, and I kind of forgot that I had it until just recently, so I finally took it out and played with it. But it's the new Wilson Staff Model Wedge, which is their forged offering, kind of more traditional wedge. I know that Wilson, if you guys remember last year, they have a Wilson Staff HT, which is kind of a high toe that I played for a little while and really liked. I thought it was a really good performing wedge. And then this is their staff model, which is their more traditional wedge. So traditional scoring lines, a little more traditional shape. Doesn't have the big high toe. It is a sharper toe, but in terms of shape. But overall, like I said, more traditional. They offer, basically 48 through 64 or 60 in this thing. So basically, full wedge set, full lineup. But it's actually a redesign. They've kind of positioned some of the weight a little higher up to kind of move the CG up. The sole is got a good amount of like trailing edge relief, a little C grind, so the heel and toe relief is pretty good there. And the 56 is a 12 degree, so a decent amount of bounce. The leading edge there is pretty rounded off, so you're not going to get a ton of digging, even then like tight lies. If you're going to try to press it forward, hit a little little kind of low spinning shot. That should be round enough where it doesn't dig too much, and for me it didn't. But overall, a pretty impressive wedge. It's a forged wedge, which unlike the high toe, which was I believe cast. So the staff model there forged. It's out of 8620 carbon steel, and it does actually have a pretty soft feel to it. I would say it's very on par with my Vokis in terms of feel. It doesn't have much of a click. I mean, when you miss it off there a little on the toe, you can get some click out of it, but it's not a whole lot, and it's just adds a little bit to the responsiveness of knowing where you hit the where you make contact on the face. But overall, the feel is really solid, and really it kind of depends on the ball too. If you're going to play a softer ball like Pro V1 or Srixon Z Star TP5, actually kind of either of the Bridgestone models, it seems like. It's going to definitely have that softer feel, but you're going to know, if you play a firmer cover ball like a Pro V1X or something like that, because it is going to, resonate. You get a little more vibration through it, and you can feel that firmness. Overall, though, the spin on it is pretty darn good. Again, I would say pretty close to my Vokis there. I would say out of the rough, the Vokis might spin just a hair better out of some deeper rough, but overall, I think it's pretty comparable to Voki in terms of spin. The grind on it is kind of like the D grind on my, on my Vokis. It's kind of a C grind where you have that trailing, the heel relief, toe relief, a little bit of trailing edge relief. It kind of pushes that bounce to more the middle of the slightly back, but more middle of the sole. And it's actually really good out of soft conditions. My steep swing, it played really well. It's like I said, I think the same bounce as my 56, my D grind, which seems to be a little more aggressive when you hold them up, together. This one gets through the turf a little quicker, a little smoother than the D grind, and I think because that C grind, that relief when it's ground in or polished in, it's not quite as sharp as the Voki sole, so it does actually feel like it gets through the turf a little quicker, a little smoother. But it doesn't dig. It doesn't dig very much. I mean, your divots are going to be pretty average for me. For a player who's more neutral, I think you're going to, really find this thing to be pretty versatile. Full shots, you're going to get enough bounce where, again, divots aren't going to be huge. I think even if you're a sweeper, it's 12 degrees, but it's not, when you hold it up, it's not crazy. It doesn't have a crazy amount of bounce. So I think even a sweeper is going to be able to play this even off some tight lies. Out of the bunker, when you open the face up, it's got a good amount of sole that it's exposed. The effective bounce, or as they say, is pretty darn good. It's got a good amount of float. I don't play super fluffy sand here. Most of the sand I play is pretty firm and packed down. So it's something that you have a good amount of float. It seems like, but also it gets through that hard pack sand pretty well. The overall launch on it, I would say is a hair lower than some other wedges. I would say it's kind of, all wedges kind of hit it high, but I would say it's kind of mid-high. It doesn't hit it crazy high. You're able to flight it down, hit some lower shots, hit that kind of like low spinner in there with no problem. But again, you can kind of open that face up and kind of hit a higher lofted shot as well. like I said, the overall performance of it is really good. Like I said, it's got a good feel. The spin is pretty darn high. I would say, like I said, compared to my Voki. And like I said, versatility is really good. I think that sole is really solid. It, like I said, offers a good amount of float. The only thing that you might see is, in like all wedges, if you play off really firm and conditions and you want to open that face up, the leading edge raises a little bit. It's not a crazy amount, but it does raise a little bit. So for some people who, are playing on really hard pack or hard firm surfaces, it may be a little bit of a, I wouldn't say struggle, but that may be a little area where, but those players I think would go to a lower bounce wedge anyway. I don't think they're going to look for something that's like a 56-12. They're probably going to go to something that's, 8 degrees of bounce or something lower. So, but yeah, that higher CG definitely kind of helps keep that ball down. If you're somebody who, hits a really high, high ball, looking for something a little more, a little lower launch, I think this head, now paired with the dynamic gold 120 shaft in there, it does hit it a little higher. I think if you put something in there like an S400 or a Modus 125 wedge, a KBS 610, something like that, I think this thing would really be, you'd really be able to control the flight and hit those shots lower and kind of, either cheat the wind or hit that low spinner in there. And it would really be a more versatile wedge with a little, heavier, a little lower launching shaft. But overall, I think it's a really good wedge. I think it's going to be totally underrated. Nobody's, going to really think about it or know about it. And, if you have one in your bag, you're probably going to be the only person on the course with one, just because it just seems that, you don't see these in every shop. You don't see them in every bag. I just don't think they're, as readily available as a lot of other brands. But I think quality-wise, it's really good. The finish seems to hold up pretty well. Hitting it on the range especially, I mean, it'll put some marks on there with some cover on the ball. I mean, it's not shredding covers like, the old box groove days, but it takes some cover, off the ball. The face is fully milled, so you can kind of feel all that small milling marks on there. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a really good wedge. I think it's, like I said, going to be underrated. I think it's one of those wedges where if you look for it next year when the next model comes out, like this is one of those things that, at like $80 or whatever the price will be, discount, it's going to be an absolute steal. And even right now, I think it's a good value. I think, what is it right now? It's $129 like directly from Wilson. So a little cheaper than, Voki or Cleveland or, any of the big brands. And honestly, I think it plays right with them. As long as the bounce options and the loft options are what you need, because that is the one downside. I mean, it basically goes 48, which online it says it's a custom order only, but basically 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, and each one only has one sole. So there's just one bounce option. Wow, that's interesting. It says the 56 online is 14, and the one I have says 12. That's kind of interesting. So I wonder which one is correct. I mean, I know we get a lot of these media samples like super early, so I wonder if this was done before they maybe they didn't quite lock it in yet. But that's very interesting that it says online that's 56 is a 14 degree bounce, and the one I have sitting here is stamped with a 12. Maybe gonna tour issue one. But yeah, I'd say my only knock to it is, like I said, that you don't have any sole grind options, so it's not like you can get a 56 and a 10, or that they are what they are, which is understandable. I mean, Wilson's not going to sell as many wedges as Titleist is, so to make 5 different versions of a 56 degree and 4 different versions of a 60 and all that, yeah, it's probably not cost effective. The only thing I wish they did, I wish the leading edge was a little straighter. It's not horribly rounded. But the transition from hosel into that rounded leading edge just gives it I think it makes it look more rounded than it really is. Now for open face shots, that's great, but for full on shots, square shots, I would like something just maybe a hair straighter than that. But again, that's my only knock, and that's pretty minimal. Shaping wise, like I said, the toe for me is a little sharp, but that's me. I like a little more rounded wedge, and other people don't. So, shape-wise, it's going to be one of those things where you're going to set it down, and you're either going to love it or, maybe there's something about it that you don't. But like I said, performance-wise, I think it's a really good wedge. I think it's going to be underrated. It's going to fly under the radar. And if you can pick one up, at a good price, I think you're going to get a great deal on a wedge because, like I said, the head feels pretty good. It plays really well. It's got a good amount of spin. Overall, I think it's a pretty good package. So, like I said, I was impressed with it. I didn't have really high hopes for it, even though I really did like the high toe model from last year. This one, like I said, I was pretty impressed with it, and I think it kind of surprised me of how well it played. So, like I said, the Wilson Staff model here is the staff model Forge Wedge is like I said a good one here, and it's going to be one of those ones that, like I said, next year if you find it on some sites discounted, you're probably going to pick it up for really a pretty inexpensive price, and I think you're getting a great deal. So, like I said, if you're looking for something kind of different, and or you're just a big fan of the Wilson shape, because I know they've got kind of have their own shape, that high toe or that sharp toe. Definitely it's worth checking out. I mean, it's definitely a quality piece, and definitely worth trying one and hitting one at your local shop. So, the Wilson Staff Model Wedge, but. And the satin finish seems to hold up pretty well too. I hit a one or two off the toe that were almost not on the grooves, and it didn't really penalize me with the look. So I know my 50 degree over there, I hit a bunker shot 2 weeks ago that kind of caught a little on the toe side, and I got to wait for that to patina over so that way nobody can realize that it's there. But that's the one downside with raw wedges is shots like that on the bunker. You kind of see immediately where you hit it, and you're just like, oh man, I gotta wait for this thing to rust over again. So it hides it. But yeah. So the other item that I was actually playing with recently would be the Bushnell Wingman. So if you don't know what the Bushnell Wingman is, the Bushnell Wingman is basically a golf GPS and speaker in one. So you can basically play your music and not have to have a separate device or whatever for your yardages. And it was a thing that I saw. I think they came out with it. I want to say it was either last year. It was kind of announced at the PGA show, and I saw it and I was like, wow, that's actually kind of a cool idea. Now I know some people are going to sit there and say they don't like music on the course, and that's fine. Like, not everybody does. For me, I don't care. I don't mind playing some music. I don't mind not playing with music. It all depends on the person. And if the people I'm playing with don't want to listen, hey, no problem. If people do, hey, I'm cool with that too. It doesn't bother me. I'm fine either way. But yeah, it's basically a small enough where it actually fits in the cup holder on the golf cart, which is pretty cool. It's basically sized to fit in there perfectly. Or what it's really meant for is on the back, it's got their bite magnetic, kind of a magnetic plate on the back that's kind of a rubber, but it has a really strong magnet, and you can actually slap it on the side of a golf cart. So the support that goes up to hold on the roof, it'll slap right on there. If your cart doesn't have a roof, anything metal, it'll actually hang on to. I actually slapped it onto my irons when I was getting ready to go golf last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, and I kind of forgot that I slapped it on my irons. And when I brought my bag out to my car and I was driving to the course, and I all of a sudden realized, like, oh man, I didn't change that up. Like, I just slapped it on the irons. I hope it's still there. Got to the course, it was still stuck on my 6-iron or whatever it was when I put it in there. So the magnet's really strong. It actually holds up really well. I think through 18 holes, I maybe noticed that it moved a slight bit halfway through, and I just kind of kind of twisted it right back into spot, but it barely moved. Never had a problem with thinking that it was going to be coming off or anything like that. I mean, it really did stay in place on the support for the cart roof. Man, I'm just losing it today. But it stayed in place, and it really did stay in place. And I basically had this on one side facing, on one side of the support, and then my other side I had my laser rangefinder. So it's kind of cool to have both right there. And I think having both kind of helps you remember when you're done with the round that it's there, because that is the one thing with, I know laser rangefinders, when you slap them on the cart, on the supports and stuff like that, that it's sometimes easy to just pack up your bag, grab your stuff, and just go and forget about it and leave it there. So this, I think, having both there kind of reminded you, and this sticks out a little more, so it's a little easier to notice. The sound quality for music is phenomenal. It's basically looks like a JBL speaker from like the actual speaker surround, like the kind of the woven look. I've got a JBL Bluetooth speaker, and this like outside looks exactly the same. And I know JBL makes kind of a similar look to it. So I I don't know for sure, but it looks like it's kind of like a JBL unit, but the sound quality is great. You can make it crazy loud. You can make it pretty quiet. My buddy and I were playing with two people that we didn't know how they felt about music and how they felt about our music. So we kind of kept it the volume pretty low. But I mean, it gets pretty loud. It's got good bass to it. It sounds actually really solid. Like I said, depending on what you're listening to, I don't think there's a genre of music that this won't play well. Whether you're listening to like heavy bass, rap type music, or you're into the kind of the country rock, whatever. Like I said, we were kind of listening to a little old school, more rock. We kind of had some country going, and it sounded great. Like it was really, really good. And like I said, it pairs up to your phone really easily, just like any other Bluetooth speaker. Now, the interesting thing about it is that it's got GPS with it as well. Now, the GPS isn't really built into the unit. So the GPS is on your phone. And on your phone, it runs the Bushnell app where you basically go through, pick the course you're playing. And there's also a bunch of settings in the app that you can actually set this thing up where, shots from say inside 200 yards, it'll give you front, middle, back. So it'll say, the front of the greens, 167, middle of the greens, 178, and the back of the green 190, or whatever the yardages are. But then you can also say, where if it's any shot over 200 yards, it'll just give you the center number because, or shots over 250 or whatever. You can kind of set it up to tell you, those distances, and then also set it up to, if you want a little, it'll say, hole 3, 387 yards, or, whatever the thing, it'll kind of announce as you pull up to the tee box. But then, like I said, you can kind of set up some settings in there to tell you what you want, or just to let it know what you want it to tell you, which is kind of cool. It's kind of nice because, I mean, I think sometimes, you're playing a par 5 and you're, 258 yards out. Do you really need to know front, middle, back? Some people do, some people don't. And you have the option to select that, which is really nice because for me, I just want center of the green. That's a shot that, if I get it there, wow, I'm probably not getting it 256 yards off the deck. So for me, if it's just center of the green, I kind of have an idea. But it also can be set up to give you, different hazards and all that. Like I said, in the app, there's a lot of settings that you can go through and tell it what you want it to tell you. And then how it works is the app on the phone actually does all the GPSing. So you do need to have your phone with you, which if you're playing music, you do anyway. So it doesn't really matter. But the app on the phone is running, and then there's a little disc that comes off the top of it, which is held in by a little magnet. This one here, the magnet could be a little stronger. I'm not going to lie to you because it comes out pretty easily. But you take this little Bushnell disc out that has a little button on it, and you put it in your pocket. And then when you get up to your ball, you hit your tee shot, you go up to your ball. This thing's going to keep playing music, but if you want to hear the yardage, you basically hit the little button. And actually, I found that if you have it in your pocket, you could actually feel for the button and just hit it. You didn't have to put your hand in your pocket, and it would then tell you the yardage. So it would then say, middle of the green 151, front's 142, and 158 to the back. So it would actually kind of give you the yardages there right then. And it was pretty accurate. I mean, it would pull up, and as long as you didn't weren't still driving when you hit the button. If you pulled up, got out of your cart, looked at the thing, hit the button, tells you the number. It was pretty darn accurate. I know GPS on some courses can get a little wonky. We played a course called Sanctuary Lake, and it really, I mean, everything that it went through was pretty much spot on. So, and that's a course that it's interesting because there's a couple tee boxes where you actually drive by another tee box to get to it. It's really packed into a kind of a small area, and certain holes are kind of on top of each other. And it never got confused. It knew exactly what hole we were on every time. It was actually pretty impressive because, if anything was going to kind of put that thing to the test of, does it know what hole we're on? Does it know the yardage to the right green? Whatever. It did. It never had a problem. So it was kind of nice that it knew everything there. But the yardages were really good. Like I said, they seemed pretty darn accurate. I never had anything where I hit it and looked at it and said, really? That's it? My buddy John and I had it, and really it worked great. I'll say I'll give it one knock in terms of the GPS. The voice on it is a little quiet. So if you're just for example, if you're listening to the music at say a 6, the voice comes in at 4. So if you're standing, and the range worked for a while, the little remote, so you could be standing on the tee box, the cart could be on the on the cart path, And if it's, 20 yards away, you'd hit the button and you'd really have to like listen to hear what the yardage is. Where, I wish, and there might be a setting, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look a little further into the app to see if I can change the volume of the voice. Because I know you can change the actual voice if you want it like to be a man's voice or a woman's voice. There's like a couple different options. But like I said, the voice was kind of quiet, so like the music would stop, so you knew it was about to read you the number, and the voice was just not quite loud enough. So I'm gonna have to look in there and see if there's a setting that you can actually bump that up. But that's really my only complaint with it. Everything else, it worked great. So I was pretty happy with it. I mean, and even if like some of those par threes where you walk off and you have to maybe walk a little ways to the tee box, or you pull up and your tee box is back a little ways, it's really easy to just kind of grab this thing off the cart, walk backwards, and you could just set it down literally like right next to the tee marker, hit the button, it'll give you a yardage, and off you go. So it's it's one of those things where it's pretty versatile. The other nice thing about it too is that if you're just sitting at home on your back porch and you want to have a beverage and just listen to some music, you can do that too. It works flawlessly as a just a regular speaker. And kind of the nice thing is with that magnetic thing, the bite on it, you can set it anywhere. Like my back patio, I've got like a little table with an umbrella, some chairs, and I could actually just slap it right onto the pole for the umbrella, and it's out of the way. It's not like getting in anybody's way on the table, anything like that. And then also I found that down in my basement, in my shop, I can actually just slap it right on the side of my bending machine. So if I want to kind of have some music down here, slap it on the side of my bending machine, can listen to music. It's kind of a versatile thing that works just about anywhere. I mean, it doesn't have to be just a straight golf GPS as well. I know when I had it, somebody asked about like the battery life. Bushnell claims it's 10 hours, so you could play 36 holes with it. I haven't tested that yet. I probably will this summer when I kind of go on my guys trip when we play 36, 36, 18. But for 9 holes for 18 holes, I mean, it worked fine. I don't know what the level is right now, but it was, it had no problem going through 18 holes. So I haven't really tested the full limits of it, of how long it'll go yet. But, like I said, I'll probably do that this summer when I'm playing in kind of my golf outing. But overall, it's a fun unit. I mean, it really is. I think it's kind of cool. It's, something that, for golfers who want to listen to music, it works great. But like I said, it also works great just as like a regular speaker. And for $150, it's not crazy expensive. And, like I said, you get that GPS option, and sometimes I didn't even use the GPS part. We just let it play, and I would, grab my laser rangefinder and shoot the target instead. And it would just, be music, but it would be, easier just to have it on the cart. So, I mean, like I said, some people like myself, I may not even use the GPS part of it. I may just use it as a speaker. And I found that, using it as a speaker around other areas has been really easy and kind of more convenient than my traditional JBL speakers. So, overall, I think the Wingman's a cool unit. Like I said, if you're somebody who's into listening to music, the only thing I haven't tested yet, which I got to see, I want to see like my push cart. It's metal, but I haven't tried to slap it on there yet. I don't know if I think it's metal. I don't know if it's aluminum or if it's steel, whatever. No, I mean, it's a magnet, so it's only going to stick to steel. So it'll be really interesting to see if it'll stick to my push cart, because that would be kind of cool too, that you could just slap it on there and go with it. So I'll find that out about soon. But if you have a golf cart that's made out of steel, it'll definitely work, and you can just slap it on there. So you could also charge your phone from it. I mean, it's pretty versatile. So for $150, not a bad little golf accessory that is something different. It's not your normal GPS, but like I said, it kind of kills two birds with one stone, and I think they did a really good job on the design. So I was a big fan of it. I'm liking it so far. I'm excited to kind of use it a little bit more, and like I said, it's a fun little piece. And if you're not into listening to music, hey, I get it. But for those of us who are, it's kind of fun to use. So that is the Bushnell Wingman, which like I said, I'm a fan of. It's fun. Like I said, it's even down here. If you ever see photos of my little shop, you may see it slapped to the side of my my bending machine, because that's kind of where I keep it. But yeah, it was a good one. Like I said, that's pretty much all I got for little reviews today. Yeah, I mean, my league, I hope is starting up. I'm hoping in like 2 weeks. We're supposed to have a little call on it tomorrow with like the commissioner and get some hopefully info on when I'm starting. I'm super excited. I'm like already planning out what I'm going to do or what I'm going to play. I got to excuse me, I'm gonna go through and have to bend, make sure put all my irons and wedges in the loft lie machine, make sure I'm all dialed in and that stuff. So pretty excited for that. I know it's kind of crazy that you're just gonna make sure your irons are bent and all that, but it's just, I mean, when league starts up, you get excited for it and all that. So I'm excited to get that going and get out and play every week and get to put some clubs in there in the bag and know that I'm playing every single week, at least 9 holes. And have stuff new in the bag every week. So, if you want to if you have any questions, anything like that, I'm probably going to do my Q&A today as well. So check out at Club Junkie Pod. Love answering all your guys' questions. Also, if there's something there, hit me up if there's something that you want me to test or want me to, reach out and see if I can get my hands on something. Let me know. Because I love taking people's suggestions because you guys a lot of times think of stuff that I don't even think about. So anything like that, hit me up. Like I said, at Instagram at Club Junkie Pod. And I think that's all I got for this week. It's kind of going to be a short episode, but hey, that's just the way it goes sometimes. So hopefully everybody has a good rest of the week. Hopefully you got to play some golf this weekend. I got to see, it's supposed to get pretty cold here. I think like tomorrow's supposed to be only like 36. I got like an invite to like play, and then we saw the weather, and it was like, maybe we won't. So we're going to see what happens. Hopefully it warms up a little bit, and I can get out and play a little bit, or at least get to the range and hit some more stuff. So everybody have a good rest of the week, and we'll talk to you next week.